Hello and welcome to the Atheist Community of Austin. This is our first introductory show. My name is Joe Zemecki. I'm a member of the Atheist Community of Austin. And with me today I have...
I'm Mary Sue Osborne, and I'm a member of the Board of Directors of ACA and the Social Director.
Hi, I'm Don Rhodes. I'm co-coordinator of the Atheist Community of Austin, and we're delighted to be here with you today.
Alrighty then. I'm going to be starting off with this in an interview fashion. First question we have is, what exactly is an atheist?
Well, I think an atheist is somebody that doesn't have a belief in the supernatural. We don't believe in magic, or we don't accept the truth of things like gods or spirits or souls or afterlife or anything like that.
And also, I would add that an atheist not only doesn't believe in God and a supreme being, but tends to be a person who is a skeptic, who examines with reason any statement that's put out by anyone. And does that tell you enough, Joe?
Sure.
One other point I'd just like to make is that because someone says they're an atheist, that is very different than saying they're a Satanist. I don't know how some people can make that connection, but Satanism is a religion or a religious position, and Satanists believe in God, believe in the devil, demons, whatever it is they believe in, and we accept none of that. We do not accept the truth of any of that.
That's a good point.
All right. What exactly is the Atheist Community of Austin?
The Atheist Community of Austin is started about a year ago as a social group. There was one woman who had come to her belief in atheism independently and felt she was isolated and wanted to get together with other atheists. And this woman's Kellen Van Houser. And she looked in the phone book, found the name of an atheist group, met with the person, and started meeting weekly for a discussion group, just to have the social interaction. And that's how ACA began.
All right.
There's some more.
Sure.
Well, I remember many months ago, almost a year ago, I saw a tiny little ad on the back of the Chronicle for an atheist discussion group, and I can't tell you how the chills went up my spine, because when you are an atheist, typically you're out there by yourself. Usually you come to that decision by yourself. Frequently it's a tough choice, and we often do not have people like us to talk to. Suddenly, here's some people that are atheists that want to sit down and talk. I was delighted. So we met at a downtown bagel shop and had some wonderful discussions. And gradually, the group evolved, and now we have a constitution and a charter. We have applied with the IRS for status as a nonprofit educational corporation. And that is really why we're here today. This is to educate those who might be interested in our opinions, whether they're atheists or not, whether they agree or not. We would like to honestly inform.
Why have an atheist group? Why do you feel it's necessary? What do people look for in that? And what's the purpose of it overall?
We talked about this a little bit before. When you come to the understanding that you're an atheist and that you question all those things that some other people don't, and you feel isolated, our group is important to each of us in different ways, but one of the things it does is to help to educate us. There are so many books, articles by great writers who are atheists in the past and the present that we all can tell each other about. We socialize, we support each other.
That's very true, at least in my life. The fact that I can go someplace and talk freely about philosophies or belief systems, or just things that have nothing to do with atheism, but to be able to discuss them with atheists is very special, and it's meant a lot in my life. I feel it's very supportive of me as a person, just exactly as I am, and I've enjoyed it tremendously. And it's a very interesting group of people too, very diverse, a wonderful group.
All right. What kind of people belong to the Atheist Community of Austin? I guess you've answered some of that question already, but let's get a little more in depth about what kind of members, what kind of atheists, and what kind of people are atheists who are willing to join a group of atheists like this.
Well, we can each tell you about ourselves individually. I'm a nurse, a registered nurse. I'm a grandmother. I have 2 grandsons, ages 9 and 12, a daughter and 2 sons. I like to, read, especially. You talked about atheists and reading. How about you, Don?
Well, I work for a local semiconductor manufacturer, and I'm a dad, and I enjoy being a dad. And I think professionally, there's a huge diversity in the group. Age-wise, there's a huge diversity in the group. Really, it's the only common connection is that we're all atheists, and upfront about being atheists. There are lots of there's a lot of good experiences to hear about in the group. We hear lots of insights into politics, into science. There's lots of people that have a good background in science, and we get a lot of laughs. There's some good joke tellers in the group too.
Lots of humor.
All right. What kind of activities does the Atheist Community of Austin participate in?
Well, we have some things that are purely social, and we really enjoy it. We've picnicked, we've had themed dinners, we've happy houred, we've had a solstice party that was grand. That was a special event. We also had an anniversary party because, as we've told you, this group started a year ago, a little over a year ago, and all those things were great fun. But we've also done some things that were on a little more serious level. There are events and causes in Austin that we, as part of the community, participate in. There was a march that some of us participated in as atheists against hate crimes. There's some other things that. How about you, Don? Do you have some other things you remember?
Well, the dinners I thought were real special. I enjoyed those a lot. That was great. I also see the group doing a lot of things that are more in the educational realm, and this is one of them. This is a direction that the group has decided to make that we feel is important. We want our viewpoint to be validated. We want our public officials and our fellow citizens to have an idea where we're coming from. We want to not be, for example, we don't want to be forced to participate in religious rituals. Sometimes religious people have a hard time understanding why we don't feel that way. We want to educate folks. We're not trying we're not trying to convert anybody. We do not want to participate in religious rituals. We don't want to be forced to do that. And that includes prayer in the city council, or I have a 7-year-old daughter. I don't want her forced to participate in prayer in school or go stand in the hall. I think that's pretty important.
Very good.
Wasn't there also a city council proclamation that the Atheist Community of Austin was involved in?
Oh, that's very true. That's very true. One of our members began the push for this. Rodney developed the proclamation and pushed it through, got it signed, and
what exactly was that proclamation saying?
Proclamation was declaring a week. This was in November of '96. A give thanks for separation of church and state week. and it was a mayoral proclamation, and we are very grateful for the separation of church and state, and wish that everyone else was too, because it's a cornerstone of freedom in this country. We all got to go down to or as many of us as wanted to, went down to the city council and heard the proclamation read by the mayor, met the mayor. We had a short statement that one of our members made, and then we got to sit through the council prayer at the opening of their session. So it was very interesting and eye-opening for all of us. Ironic also, absolutely.
For us.
Now, where do atheists get their morals? A lot of people feel that you have to have a religion or something of a religion to have any morals or any ideas about what's right and wrong. Tell us briefly, where do atheists get their morals if they have no religion, no God?
Well, you know, that's being studied by a lot of cultural anthropologists these days, and I can give you one interpretation, and that is that that man becomes a moral animal, and that's taken from the book The Moral Animal, through experience of sharing.
If I can just jump in, I
You
feel
heard what
like
I said earlier. I'm losing it. I'm sorry.
I feel like people develop their morals, or in general, people develop their morals from their parents. The early influences of parents, it just can't be denied. In my family, my mom's grandfather was an atheist, and her mother was raised in an atheist home. And in my mom's home, as she grew up as a little girl, it was a strict home where religion was not discussed, but people had very high, what you would call moral standards. They didn't think people should drink. They didn't think people should smoke. They didn't think people should swear. At that time, they didn't even think people should get divorced, and they were incredibly honest. These are people you could play dice with over the phone, and religion didn't play a part of it. It was just that was what they felt and what they passed on to their children. I think atheists are as moral, or more so, than anybody out there.
I can agree with that. Even more so, definitely. Why should an atheist join the Atheist Community of Austin? There's a lot of atheists in Austin, we know this. But why should they join this particular group? And why should they come to meetings and participate? And what is there to gain overall for an atheist?
Well, I'd like for them to come because I'd like to meet them. I'd like to know who they are. I think the people that have come to the group have been an interesting bunch, and I can't wait to meet more. For their own personal point of view, I think that they feel justified and validated by being able to talk about their views openly with people who agree with them.
And I agree with that. I think that they would like to meet us. I think we have a great group. We share a lot of things, and yet we're diverse in a lot of ways. And we want them to come so that they can add to the group. We enjoy the social aspect. We also enjoy the activist aspect, and we need diversity.
And an atheist in our community now should be aware that their rights are being threatened. The atheist or secular point of view is perceived as a threat by a lot of people out there in society. If they want to work against that kind of thing, if they don't want to have to participate in religious rituals against their will, if they don't want to see their children forced to pray in school, if they don't want to see their tax dollars used to support religious institutions, then I think they would like to be involved in a group that feels the same way. We can band together and make headway.
All right. I understand the Atheist Community of Austin also has a website now. Is that correct?
That's true. That's true. And anybody that wants to find us on the web, we're at www.atheist-community.com. atheistsecondary.org. Also, we have a voicemail number at 371-2911.
And remember, that's a dash between the atheist and the community, not a dot. I tried to get a hold of that, and it's a beautiful website. We've had some folks that did incredible work to get that together, and there's a lot of information, a lot of tough information, and a lot of jokes, a lot of humor, a lot of information that you could use.
I really enjoy the humor, and plus there are links to other atheist organizations across the country and the world. You can really get out there and find the other folks.
If you're interested, it's a really good point. If you're interested in meeting some of the people here who want to, and you want to contact us, get together with us, call the voicemail, get on the website, and learn some more.
I have also one more question. A lot of atheists are probably going to ask upon first contacting the Atheist Community of Austin is, what kind of person is the Atheist Community of Austin looking for? What kind of atheist, what kind of interests should the person have, or if there are any limitations on the attitude, or what kind of a person, I mean, only atheists, is that it, or are there other people who are welcome? I mean, what is the stand there?
We're open to non-believers. If you call yourself a humanist, agnostic, if you're atheist friendly and you want to come, talk to us, meet our group, you're welcome.
Absolutely, absolutely. It doesn't cost anything. We're not gonna try to pry you away from your money. We enjoy real good conversation. It's a great bunch, and you won't be pressured to do or not do anything. But the people that have showed up and given it a chance that are non-believers, most of them are pretty regular now. It's a good bunch.
All right. Let's see. You meet weekly. Is that correct?
Yes, we do. We meet every week, every Sunday.
What kind of meetings are they? What do? Do you just discuss, socialize, or is there actual business taking place, activities like that?
Well, we usually have a business section, but that takes place before our regular meeting. The board of directors meets, and we do our plotting and scheming and talk about where we're going to spend the money and things like that. We get that out of the way, and then the regular meeting is pretty free form. Folks make announcements. There's usually stuff in the news that we bring up to discuss. This week has been a particularly good week. I think it's going to be a good meeting on Sunday.
And a heavy news week.
A heavy news week, absolutely. There's a lot to talk about, so it'll be good.
There have been some columns in the paper. Generally, people are going to bring those articles in. Lots of letters to the editor. We have a lot of people who are extremely good writers, and they've written some good letters, and they get published pretty often in the paper, espousing a lot of different subjects. We decide on some social issues, what we're going to do, some causes, anything of interest.
Let's talk about one issue with the time we have left. There is certainly a movement, if not orchestrated movement of some large size going on in America today that is stating that according to the Constitution and the Founding Fathers that there was no need for freedom from religion and that only freedom of religion is guaranteed in the Constitution, and a lot of people are saying that that's all there needs to be. How do you address that? How do you tell people exactly your opinions on that? And what is the need? What is the difference in the need between freedom from religion and freedom of religion as atheists see it?
I feel very strongly about that. First of all, there is no freedom of religion unless there is freedom from religion. You just can't have one without the other. It's a misdescription to say you can pick any religion you want as long as you pick a religion and call that religious freedom. That's just not correct. by having true religious freedom, where you have freedom from religion, freedom to believe or not believe, that not only is good for us, it's good for everybody. That gives everybody the freedom to think as they see fit. And I think that's the kind of freedom that our founding fathers had in mind. But I think it's the right way, whether it's what they had in mind or not.
So freedom of religion would be covered under freedom from religion if there was that, right?
Absolutely.
Well, actually, one necessitates the other. Is that correct? I mean,
yes.
In order to have freedom of religion, you're saying we have to also start out with freedom from religion,
right?
If you so want, right? If you choose to opt out of the choice altogether, that's the question. And an atheist wants to do that, right?
That's what an atheist wants to do. But we also support anybody believing whatever they want. They have the right to do that. We support their right to believe. And we find that we have allies who support our right not to believe. And those are our friends. And but there's some out there that say that you shouldn't have that freedom, that you need to pick one from column A or column B, but you got to have a religion or a God or something like that. And that's not right. That's not true. It just doesn't work.
Do you find there are some religious people also who agree with you that freedom from religion is necessary in this country?
Yes, absolutely. We have allies among the religious. There are large groups that are involved that involve many religious groups that, for example, support strict separation of church and state. And I don't see how we can say that those people are anything but our friends, because that increases our freedom. That gives the atmosphere where religious freedom can truly blossom when the church and state are not interconnected.
Well, there are a few things that have been called violations of separation of church and state right here in Austin. First of all, we mentioned this a minute ago about prayers in city council meetings, but there is also a monument to the Ten Commandments at the U.S. Capitol, the state capitol, Texas state capitol. And exactly how do atheists feel about these? Are these really considered to be violations, or are they just minor little problems that the religious impose upon other people that should be ignored or blown off? Is there something that is important in that? Do atheists feel that these are real violations?
I feel it's an important, if they're symbolic. They're symbolic of the oh God, I can't do this. I think they're symbolic of how Christianity specifically is held as infiltrating every area. One of the things that we all deal with every day is money. And, there we have God. Well, somebody's God. Who's God? Which God? But these little symbols are saying to us that we don't have the freedom. This is our government, too.
There are probably some violations that are more serious than others. Having said that, though, having a monument on the grounds of the state capitol kind of says to me that it's not my capital. Mm-hmm. It's sort of saying it's the Christians run the place. And it's true that the majority of people in this country are Christians. Having paid taxes for a long time and served in the military of this country, I kind of claim it. And I feel that behavior like that, putting religious symbols, statements, or practices in the government or on government property is, if nothing else, it's rude.
Don, that's true. There are estimates that at least 10% of the population are non-believers. And that's probably a very low estimate. So that means that there are at least 26 million Americans who are non-believers. So this is our country, too.
It is our country, too, and it's very tiresome to hear our religious counterparts pretend that we don't exist.
We're here today, and obviously we do exist. That's one thing I'd like to do now that I have this opportunity, is I would like to proudly and publicly proclaim that I am an atheist, and that I am happy this way. I live a clean and respectable, decent, upstanding life. I pay taxes, I work full-time. I'm a father of 2, I'm college educated, and I did spend some time in the U.S. military. So if there are any religious out there who feel that atheists are incapable of being ethical, moral, upstanding, clean, respectable Americans, patriots, then I'm living proof they're wrong. Also, I have 2 others here who are just like me in that respect, that they are atheists and still respectable citizens and patriots. Would you like to add to that at all?
I would. The lady sitting next to me here works with the mentally ill. That's a very difficult occupation, and she does it with a smile on her face. I think that's just wonderful, and I'm proud to know you, Sue, and I'm proud that you're an atheist, a fellow atheist.
Thanks, Don. You know, I feel the same way.
All right. I guess we're getting closer to the end of our program. Once more, I'd like to ask if we could repeat the web address for the Atheist Community of Austin.
Sure, that's www.atheist-community.org. And please call and leave us a message at 371-2911. Thank you.
And that's our voicemail.
Okay. Well, we expect to hear from you. If you're interested in meeting fellow atheists, if you want to call and get some information about atheism and our group.
Yes, don't be afraid to call. We're definitely an upbeat, happy group of atheists. And when we meet, it's lighthearted. We have good times, a good sense of humor, joke around a lot. We do also have some serious work to do, and our activities are often based on activist ideas and ideals. But also our group meetings are very lighthearted, like I said. We laugh just like other people, and when we do get together, we always welcome anyone who would like to join us. And was there much else to say?
Join us for our future programs. We're
Thank you
going to
very
have a
much.
weekly spot, and hope to bring you some more information. Bye.
My name's Joe Zemecki, Sue, and Don. We thank you very much.
All right.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
I'm Sharon Summers of the Atheist Community of Austin. A lot of people wonder what atheism is. Dictionary definitions vary, but the prefix "a" meaning without and the suffix theism meaning God is what the word means to me, without God. It is not belief, but an absence of belief in the supernatural. When you look for books on atheism in a library, you will rarely find one written by an atheist. Important books by major atheists such as Madeline O'Hare and Dan Barker are hard to find. You will find that most of the books are written by priests, Protestant ministers, and other religious people who characterize atheism as a belief system. I've yet to see a religious person discuss atheism sensibly. None of the atheists I know try to convert others to their opinions. Of course, many argue religion with religious people, but that is a harmless indoor sport. They wouldn't dream of carrying it outdoors under the battlefield. We don't want the government interfering with religion, and we don't want religion interfering in government. That's what our group is concerned about. We feel that government and religion should keep out of each other's care. Today, this country is becoming clogged with religion. What we need is a good plumber. It can be lonely being an atheist. That's why Austin atheists like to get together to exchange views and news and to relax and enjoy each other's company. Christians often ask how we can accept the idea that there is no supreme being or afterlife. They ask, why are we put on earth? Or what is the purpose of life? They end up saying, Jesus loves you. We are really getting sick with that one. On our program called the Atheist Experience, we will present a variety of subjects and treatments. We will show quotations and trivia questions that will enlighten and entertain you. We plan to have guests speak on relevant subjects from evolution and creationism to the basis of separation of church and state in this country. We will often focus on the threat to our freedoms arising from religious interference in the public and private lives of American citizens. Figures from our country's history have made statements about religion that will surprise you. We hope to present some of these, as well as book reviews, quiz programs, and interviews. If you have questions about our views on religion, we would like to hear from you. If you are religious, we invite you to question your own views, too. Thank you.
Our show tonight is entitled Capital Punishment and concerns a strange monument on the grounds of the Capitol in Austin, Texas. These beautiful grounds are the home of many monuments commemorating important periods in the state's history. The present Capitol was completed in 1888 and was constructed of building stone from Burnett County, including the pink granite, which gives the building its elegant, distinctive appearance. Capped by the imposing Goddess of Liberty, the building is one of the most beautiful capitals in the country. This impressive monument near the south entrance was erected by the surviving comrades of the Civil War. The bronze figures at the corners represent the branches of service of the 13 states which formed the Southern Confederacy.
Really? Down to the symbols, everything.
Terry's Texas Rangers are honored by this monument, erected by the Confederate survivors. The Rangers were formed in response to a call for volunteers to fight in Virginia. 1,000 volunteers were activated in 1861 as the 8th Texas Cavalry and fought in many battles for the next 5 years. Etched in the base of this monument honoring the state's volunteer firemen are the names of those who have died in the line of duty. Erected in 1896, the statue represents a firefighter rescuing a child. Heroes of the Alamo are represented by this statue of a Texan soldier. The names of the men who died in the 13-day siege in 1836 are immortalized on the sides of the monument. Erected in 1951 by survivors of the Spanish-American War, this monument honors the veterans of that military conflict. The statue is called the Hiker. The Capitol grounds are popular with tourists as well as local visitors. Horse and buggy tours, as seen here, can make sightseeing even more enjoyable. However, our tour is interrupted by the presence of a monument which should not be here on these grounds, a plaque on which the 10 Commandments are engraved.
The ultimate law in the United States of America is the United States Constitution as it is amended. The first part of the First Amendment to the Constitution reads, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof." That First Amendment has been in effect since December 15, 1791, and of course it's open to question as to exactly what that means. Who interprets the meaning of that law? About 175 years ago, Chief Justice Marshall of the Supreme Court said, "I do," and ever since that the Supreme Court has been shouldering that burden. They've made a number of decisions as to how to interpret that particular phrase about religion, the establishment of religion. Regardless of whether it's been a conservative court or a liberal court, the decisions have been unanimous that the federal government shall not give precedence or preference to one specific religion over another. It shall not prefer one religion at the expense of another. One religion shall never become the state religion at the expense of all the other religions in the U.S. It's this business of showing favor or preference for one against the other that the Supreme Court has been unanimous about. And the reason that this should not be here is that this monument represents a specific religion. It is not a general plaque celebrating religion in general. There are other plaques and monuments on the grounds here that mention God. This particular one is a Judeo-Christian monument and nothing more, and let me explain why. The little symbol down at the bottom, I hope you can see it, looks like a P and an X there. That is what is called a Chi Rho. That's from the first two letters of the Greek word for Christ. That is the oldest historical symbol that represents Christianity, and to either side, just exactly opposite that, are two stars of David, the six-pointed star. It doesn't especially matter that the Christian symbol, the cross, was taken from an Egyptian religion, or that the Star of David was taken from the worship of the Mother Goddess that preceded Judaism. The fact is that to everybody who understands religious symbolism, these represent Christianity and Judaism right now. That is what makes this a religious monument. By placing this here on the Capitol grounds, you're giving one religion precedence over all the other religions who have followers in the United States. That is what the First Amendment was written to avoid. That's why the Supreme Court has said it's inequitable to show preference for one at the expense of another. The other little goodies that have been etched into this or cut into this monument are these two little whatsits up here, and I call them whatsits deliberately because the Texas State Preservation Board says we don't know what they say. They have some Greek characters in. That, of course, is anachronistic. It's supposed to represent the Ten Commandments, the two tablets of stone, which, according to the fairy tale, were handed to Moses. We know this is a fairy tale because Moses wrote about this. This is the same Moses who described his own death after the event. So we know this is a fairy tale. These little things are supposedly Proto-Hebraic. That's the Masonic all-seeing eye. So much for all the little religious signs on this monument. This says, "I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain." And don't make any graven images such as this. "Thou shalt have no other gods before me" is spoken by this Judeo-Christian monument. That is in direct violation and contradiction to the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, which says you shall not give preference to one religion over another. They cannot be reconciled. They're absolutely opposite in meaning. This thing should be out of here. If it has any place other than in a landfill, it is in some churchyard. It should be hauled off and erected in some churchyard. It does not belong here. There are a number of interesting little points about the various commandments in here. We find one that says, "Thou shalt not commit adultery." We find one here that says, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's maidservant." That word translated correctly means slave. The reason for this adultery commandment is that a woman's considered to be the property of her husband. She was considered to be an animal. This is a female slave. The instruction in this code of conduct is for men not to damage the property of other men. It's a covenant between men. Women have nothing to do with it. It was the official position of the Roman Catholic Church for about 2 centuries that woman had no soul. She was considered to be, and I quote, a beast of burden. This 10 Commandments is very much inferior to other codes of conduct that existed at the time this was made in about the 7th century BC. As old as the Sumerian civilization, millennia ago, we had better codes of conduct. There was the famous Code of Hammurabi about 2000 BC that did specifically give women equal legal rights with men. That is something that this denies. If the Code of Hammurabi had been handed down to us today, we'd find no reason not to put it on capital grounds. It does not have an element of religion in it. This, which celebrates the oppression of women and has for the last 2,000 years, should be an outrage to every person who sees this. Every Baptist wife, every Mormon wife, every Methodist, every Lutheran wife, every Catholic wife, every Jewish mother should be outraged that this thing still exists and is celebrated. Well, so many people should be outraged, and if this is what it actually represents, who put this thing here and why did they put it here? This monument says at the bottom it was erected here in 1961. And if you think back a little bit, that's before prescribed prayer was done away with in the public schools. It was about 6 years after In God We Trust was put on United States currency. There was a great movement in the 50s, late 50s especially, to make Christianity or Judeo-Christianity the official religion of this country. Well, it peaked about 1960 and has failed. Essentially, these are dying religions, but it came very close to establishing itself as the main religion in this country. And this is one of the offshoots. This was put up by the Fraternal Order of Eagles, and they, at the same time they got this put up, they tried to get a similar one put up on the state capitol grounds in every state in the United States. In some they succeeded, in some they did not. Well, you might ask, who exactly are the Fraternal Order of Eagles? They are a fraternity, as their name indicates. From their inception, they have refused, they've allowed only white men to join. They're quite racist. There was a black lady who went into one of their halls to get a drink of water for her son back in, I think it was 1989, and they said, "Get out of here, you're not welcome, this is an Eagles hall." And she happened to have some resources, and so she sued the Fraternal Order of Eagles, and it went up to the appellate level in a federal court, and it was ruled that as of 1990, the Fraternal Order of Eagles is still racist. It's a racist organization that put up this monument to the white man's religion. It was not intended to apply to any black man. Any black person who knows his religious history would not want to be a Christian. But that's getting a little away from the subject. The point is, this thing does not belong on public property. If this were to be knocked down, and if you lean against it, you'll see that it tips. You can tip it about a foot or two. It's not a stable monument. Who is going to come out here and make that thing stable? They're going to call up state maintenance workers, again at our expense, to make this thing more stable. This thing was moved and then replaced during the extension of the Capitol Annex here a couple of years ago. Who did that? Who paid the salaries of those men who moved it around then? All that money is coming out of our pocket to preserve this thing, to polish it, to preserve it for the last 40 years in a place where it has no business to be. This is a direct violation of the separation of church and state, and that's why we as atheists are adamantly opposed to it. If there's anyone who has a great deal of money to pay an attorney to take this into court, if you pursue it far enough, this thing can be removed because it's been removed elsewhere.
This capital has been punished enough. Religious artifacts should be removed from government property.
David Kent has explained how the Ten Commandments monument came to be placed on the grounds of the state capitol in Austin, Texas. Now he's going to give us some information about the Ten Commandments themselves. Not only are there disagreement as to what the commandments are, there isn't even agreement as to how many there are. David, can you give us this information?
You know, there's some confusion about how many commandments there are, and there are various versions of the Ten Commandments. If you were to walk down the street and ask the first person you met, which commandment is it that reads, "Thou shalt not commit adultery," and you happen to run into a Catholic first, that Catholic would tell you, if he knew his Ten Commandments, that is the sixth commandment. And if you then went on and asked the first Protestant you met, which number of the Ten Commandments is that, he would say, no, that's wrong, it's the seventh commandment. Well, if you then continued until you ran into a Jew and said, which one of these is correct, the Catholic or the Protestant, the Jew would say, well, in this instance, the Protestant is correct, the Catholic's all wet. But the Jew, being very conscientious and very thorough, would go on to point out that neither one of those versions of the Ten Commandments is the correct version of the Ten Commandments, according to his belief. And we can get into the reason for his saying that later. But what is very important is why the Catholic and the Protestant versions differ. How come the Catholic said 6 instead of 7? Is he leaving a commandment out? And if he is, what does he do to make up the number 10? The answer to that is yes, he has left one out. He's left the second commandment out, and he has split the 10th commandment in two pieces and called it both the 9th and the 10th to make up the total of 10. The reason for the Roman Catholic Church leaving the second commandment out is this. That commandment reads, if I can consult my note here to get it right, "Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the earth, or that is in the water under the earth, or that is in the sky above the earth." And Jehovah did not mention outer space because Jehovah did not know about outer space. But whatever they knew about, they said, "Thou shalt not make any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the earth." The difficulty, as far as the Roman Catholic Church was concerned, is that ever since the Emperor Constantine took Christianity and made it the religion of the empire, the state religion, in the latter half of the 4th century, Christians had been engaged in what they now describe as the adoration of the saints. Roman Catholics, at that early day, had their favorite saints to whom they prayed for intercession, same as they pray today for the intercession of the Virgin Mary in their behalf. And they made little pictures of their favorite saints, and they made little images of the Virgin Mary, and they made little images of the crucifix, which is the cross with the little image of the dead Jesus Christ hanging on it. Those are very popular, and the church was making a fortune selling these little images and trinkets to their members. There was a lot of money involved in that for the early church, and people were very attached to their images. And this created a sort of a crisis because that put the church in the position of direct opposition to the second one of the Ten Commandments. They were making these images. They were not supposed to make these images according to Almighty God. They crossed the point of no return in, I think it was 692 at the Council of Constantinople, when the church officially introduced the crucifix as a part of the worship or the ritual of the church. Well, now, if you start using a graven image as a part of your religious ritual, you've gone too far as the second commandment is concerned, obviously. And so this was the hot topic about 700 AD, what to do about the second commandment. There's a great deal of controversy about this, and it was finally resolved in the year 787 by the Seventh General Council, when the Roman Catholic Church said officially, that's it, we are dropping the second commandment. Completely. They said, in effect, to God Almighty, the creator of the universe, Yahweh, Jehovah, screw you. We do not like your second commandment. We refuse to accept it. We're not going to use it. And for the last 1,210 years, they have kept to that position. The Roman Catholic Church today does not use the second commandment. And they have made a fortune over the ages in making these little trinkets. Well, why did the Protestant Church not follow suit? Well, originally Martin Luther did. He didn't
he wasn't aware that it was inappropriate to drop the second commandment. He followed the Catholic practice for several decades after he broke from the Roman Catholic Church. What the Roman Catholic Church did to try to conceal what it had done in the 8th century was to impose a penalty of death on anyone who translated the Bible, which would let the secret out of the bag. And they were quite severe about this restriction. And it wasn't until, in fact, the 16th century when an Englishman named William Tyndale translated the New Testament and the Pentateuch, which are the Mosaic books of the Old Testament. And that was a capital offense. He let the cat out of the bag, that the Roman Catholic Church had disregarded the second commandment. Eventually, he was hounded by the Roman Catholic Church until a man named Phillips, a Roman Catholic, betrayed him. In 1635, the Roman Catholic Church at that point imprisoned him for 16 months. Then they strangled him, and then they burned him at the stake, or burned his dead body at the stake. This for the capital crime of revealing to the world that they had dropped the second commandment. They tried also to confiscate that edition, but a few copies got out. It was about 27 years later, in the 1560s, that 1563, I think it was, that the Protestant churches said, we are restoring the second commandment. It is in the Bible. The Roman Catholic Church went astray, and we are including the second commandment in the list. And they came into conformance with the Jewish version of the Ten Commandments, they thought. Well, at this point, let's reintroduce our Jew we met on the street and let him explain why the Protestant and the Roman Catholic versions of the Ten Commandments are both in error. A part of the Ten Commandments, as the Jew will point out to you, and the part that according to the accounts in Exodus and Deuteronomy were inscribed by God with his own finger on those two tablets, front and back, read like this: I am the Lord thy God, who brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. Thou shalt have no other God before me. The Roman Catholic version dropped that introductory bit. So did the Protestant Church, for a very good reason. As the Jew would point out, the Roman Catholic Church didn't exist at the time. The Protestant churches didn't exist. This could not possibly apply to them. I am the Lord thy God who brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. That makes it perfectly clear that the Ten Commandments is directed to the Jews and nobody but the Jews. It's a Jewish Ten Commandments, doesn't apply to these later wannabe religious groups. And so the Jew would say the Ten Commandments doesn't apply to Roman Catholics, does not apply to Protestants. Unfortunately for the Jew, if you read the account in Exodus, it doesn't apply to the Jew either. The Jews built themselves a golden calf. They went astray. God got completely kicked off at them. He said the Ten Commandments was a bad idea for anybody. Let me try again. And he gave them what is called a covenant, his covenant with the people of Israel. And this consists of about 300 various rules which he imposed on the Jews. So that God gave up on the Ten Commandments, and the Jew is just as much out of the picture as the Protestants and the Roman Catholics. There's one more important point to make about the Ten Commandments, and that is this. It's found in the 10th commandment, or in the Catholic version, the 9th commandment, and it reads, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife." Well, this is extremely important. What exactly does this mean? I've heard it suggested that that means, well, you shouldn't covet your neighbor's wife, but you might covet the use of her one or two nights here and there if you want. That's not what I'm after. What I'm after is the important point. Who was that directed to? Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. That was directed to a man, which gives the whole game away. The Ten Commandments was directed to men, not to women. The Ten Commandments does not apply to women. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. The Ten Commandments, which is the cornerstone, the bedrock, and the foundation of the Christian church and religion, and the Jewish religion, was directed to men, not to women. Religion has nothing to do with women. Women should realize if they see a man who wants to go out and play the religious thing, he's just playing, it's a man thing. He's playing a man game. Just like he's going off with a bottle of beer to watch a football game, he's going off with a bottle of beer to play the religion game with other men. Women are not a part of the religion scene. They should realize that. Most women have more sense than to involve themselves with religion. If you want to read some of the best commentary on religion, you ought to read a few books by some women atheists. Elizabeth Cady Stanton wrote some remarkable works. Susan Brownell Anthony is another one. Annie Besant. Some of the best commentary on religion has been written by women who realized that religion was a men thing, a guy thing, that did not include women. If you want to get a real understanding of religion from an outsider's viewpoint, and you want to write to the address that's given on the screen here, I'll send you a bibliography of atheist works written by these women, which will clear away a lot of misconceptions you may have concerning the Ten Commandments, Judaism, Christianity, and religion generally. I think this is as much as we want to cover today, but I think it's important that these points be established about the Ten Commandments.